Hello, everyone, and welcome to Banya Chat. My name's Thomas Barnes. Today, I am joined by Recivo and Heavens, two of our valued members of staff at Banya. And we're just going to be having a look at how Banya is adapting and responding to the current situation in regards to COVID-19 and the coronavirus. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Lovely. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you yourself?
I'm not bad. And yourself, Heavens? How are you doing?
Yeah, good. It's a sunny day, as you can see, lots of light coming through. So yeah.
It's a bit cloudy for me, you know. Bright but overcast. So not bad. So how is Banya, when the outbreak first started, what was Banya's initial response? What was your first port of call? What did you do?
What I would say is, first of all, even before the lockdown, leading to the lockdown, actually, the management team was communicating, all the guidelines, all the advice given by the government, and it was communicated efficiently, timely to all the carers and all the staff team. If I remember very well, I know that we actually advised our staff team not to come to the offices well before the lockdown was announced, just to as a precautionary measure to ensure that people are safe. And then later on, we then had to revert to, because with the nature of our job, of our work, our field, we have social workers supporting and visiting foster carers, and the management had to find alternatives to that. And then there was telephone support, given, which was more frequent, 24/7, as we always do. It's not only 9 to 5, but so carers still had access to their social workers 9 to 5, or and then after that we have out of hours support that is available. So the support was never compromised, only that it was not face to face. It could be video, it could be telephone call. That continued, and then throughout the pandemic. And I know that I am a parent myself, having children 24/7, not going to school. We are good. We love them. We want to spend time with them, but I mean, sometimes you don't have to do time to do other things that that keeps the household going. So we salute actually our carers in managing the situation. We quickly moved to actually put in place support for homework, even access to advice or counseling, if needed, when needed, because we knew sometimes that people would want somebody to talk to. But most importantly, the support that our social workers give to their families and their carers, was always there, and throughout, and is still there. I know recently we kind of resumed face-to-face meetings when necessary and when needed, but obviously with PPE in place, make sure that everyone is safe and it is all in compliance with the government guidelines. Which I can give an example of last night when there was a press release. What Banya does, they also quickly adapt and release information in relating to any recent changes that would have been communicated by the government.
So it seems like you're very immediate, because you knew how critical and how important it was to respond effectively and efficiently for the safety of your carers and of your placements. And obviously that is obviously a safety. You've responded very, very well. So Banya's obviously had to, with the nature of work, Banya was more of a pre-COVID. It was more of a like interactive, face-to-face, personal line of work. But because of the restrictions, everything's had to move digitally and move online. And you mentioned that you've offered or you've given, like when schools were, or children couldn't go to school and everything, you offered places for training, and you offered um, training and homework. As obviously your support over the phone is 24/7, and you provided digital support as well. And what else has Banya done to move in digitally and move online?
I would want also to add to say, even our training, because we do have what we call support groups every month, and we also have trainings that we provide to our carers every month as well. And we carried on with that online. We quickly adapted. But obviously, I mean, before even then, our carers had access to a training hub where they would go, obviously, and watch videos or read and study and go through a training in their own time, at their own pace. Over and above that, but we introduced Zoom trainings as well as support groups via, Zoom as well. And then it also brought in a change, or in the dynamics of recruiting carers. And we actually had to adapt. We're already present anyway on social media, but we had to develop it, we had to expand it, and we had to invest more time and resources in expanding our presence. And right now, this Banya Chat is one of those things that we had to introduce. So we've been having webinars. We've been posting and engaging, doing videos. So we're constantly we're present constantly on social media, and we're mostly active here on Facebook, Instagram, and developing our LinkedIn as well.
Yeah,
and maybe just to add to what Roser was saying, Tom, is it's almost like we already had an eye for the future. We're seeing into the future, if I may put it like that, because most of pre-COVID, a lot of our staff had already been working remotely. A lot of our operations are actually done quite remotely. So it wasn't a very difficult transition from that to incorporate, the changes that needed to be made in light of COVID. So I think it was management had already prepared, especially staff, to work in a situation which is remote. You work from home. You plan all your stuff remotely. Meetings sometimes. Even before COVID, we were already doing some meetings over the phone, online. So it was a very easy kind of transition to then make, to move everything to online. So yeah, so that has been quite good for us.
Yeah, because Banya is a national company. It's all over the UK, from Manchester and Birmingham and London, but offices are in London. So obviously there will be times where maybe members of staff wouldn't be able to make that journey. So you had to obviously have that ready for certain members of staff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it was something that you already had a plan for. You just had to do it for all members of staff. Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned Recibo. You mentioned recruitment, and you're doing that digitally. I know that I spoke with Heavens in a previous Banya Chat about first inquiries and first stages and house tours and stuff like that. But also in my research, I've noticed that because of coronavirus, there's a large increase in children that need foster families and foster placements, and there's a massive spike in children coming into care. How is Banya dealing with this?
Well, Tom, I mean, Banya exists to actually, try and be part of the, of the problem solving to that issue of children needing a place, or families or households to be in, and so we had to also respond to that by, investing more in, in recruitment, by also doing a lot of research, adapting to new ways of recruiting that we've never really kind of, thought of or used or exploited. And that's what we're doing, hence why we had to set up, kind of beef up our team in the social media team and marketing. And we also had to engage, with the consultants who are helping us in this, and our staff had to be trained in terms of in all those aspects to ensure that we optimize and we maximize, and we actually, we're effective in what we're doing. So that's what Banya has been doing, in ensuring that. I mean, I won't be able to go into details into our tactics or what we're doing.
Of course.
Because obviously, we've got
Don't want to give out
competitors.
secrets.
Obviously, but we are, and we are seeing, we are recruiting. Is it, are we doing this as much as we want, or are we really getting the result we want? We can't complain, but we would want more. Why am I saying? Not because we want more, but because the need out there, there's a great need for foster carers.
Yeah.
And matching that up, we cannot do it on our own. You know what I mean? And that's why we have other people who are doing it. But as Banya, we are doing as much as we can to ensure that we're part of the problem solving.
Yeah, we want to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
And Heavens, how are we? We are still recruiting, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me, but I remember our previous chat after first inquiry. You said that there was something about a house tour and have to do stuff like that. How are you managing that part of it?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting. Initially, I was very worried, when we had to now move everything to online. The worry mostly was about how people were going to be willing to adapt, especially the families that are coming through. So one thing that has happened is, yes, there's been an increase in children needing care, but also there's been an increase in people who are also looking for a new start, a new career. People who have lost their jobs, who also are now considering fostering as, as a career path professionally. So that has also helped in a way, but I wasn't sure how people were going to be willing to do a lot of this assessments that we do online. But to my surprise, it's been quite, I've been surprised by the response. People are willing to, I speak to people who have never really used Zoom before, for example. They are willing to download Zoom onto their phones, and and they're willing to log in for meetings, which is really good. So that has been quite amazing. And so we try and use the platform that is best suited for the individual. So some people, they probably may suggest that, oh, maybe let's do WhatsApp video, or let's do Zoom, or let's do Teams, whichever platform, as long as it's secure and it's, it guarantees confidentiality for the process, it's always good. So yeah, so I think what we've seen is, instead of going to people's houses, which we can't, we book all our meetings online. And instead of me going around, normally I'll do a visit in a home. They'll take me on a tour in the house physically, but now I'm enjoying virtual tours. So, so it's quite interesting. And it's funny to see, surprising to see how people are willing to actually, move around with a camera in the house, talking you through, the rooms in their houses. So it actually is quite good, because it gives you, in almost the same way, you can have a picture, an idea of the house and where the spare room is, and you can have a look at, have a feel of the dimensions. Having been in quite a few houses over the years, you sort of like know the general damage. You can tell if a room is small or if it's medium sized or if it's a large room. You can tell by looking at it. So that's been quite helpful, and that's been really helping us to continue with our assessments almost in the same kind of pace. Dare I say, in some respects, even faster than you would, having to visit somebody. So I'm seeing a situation where even after COVID, certain types of assessments may actually continue to be happening online, because there is a lot of cost reductions in terms of travel and people having to make themselves available for certain types of meetings. So now I can just call up couples, whenever they're free, and ask questions and do certain things quickly without having to drive down to their house. So that's been, for me, that's been quite awesome.
Yeah, you said it's a lot of it's almost simplified, like in arrangements, because it's just like, hi, are you free between this at this time? Yeah, can I give you a video call? Yeah, can you just walk me through your house so I can see what part, what's where and everything? And then,
Yeah.
10-15 minutes later, you're done. And rather than driving down there, baking a day, getting everything prepared, it's so much simplified. And
Yeah, I think the key, like you're saying as well, is the key for us is to still make sure that the assessment, the quality of the assessment is not compromised in any way. We still have to make sure that we do everything properly, in the right way, good practice all the time, asking the right questions. Um, Whatever we do, we need to have a very clear understanding of where the family is, and we need to really understand how to help them in their with their fostering application. So the focus has slowly moved from the platform, because I think people are now generally aware that we can't have physical meetings, so people are prepared to use any platform that's available. So I think things have progressed much more to how we can do the assessments professionally, expediently, without overlooking any important processes. So that has been the focus. So how do we still make sure that we do the checks? How do we make sure we get the paperwork, the application forms to the couple? And how do we get it back to us safely and securely? So that has been the main focus, so that we don't compromise the process, and we still manage to do our assessments in a speedy way as well.
of course, you want to keep that, as much as you want to speed up the process, you have to keep that quality and reassurance that how of what an amazing company Banya is.
Absolutely.
And like we want to promote that on and increase our maximize our digital presence to show everyone what we do, how we do it, and how well we do it. And one of the great things that Banya does, and I can attest to this, is the support that it gives its carers, especially during this. Like, it's been difficult adapting to all the changes, but Banya's been there for myself and my foster carers, who I still live with. Like, the support that Banya gives, like when we first went into lockdown, and I think it was even before that, we actually got a care package from Banya, including masks, PPE, so aprons, gloves, yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff, just to help us, because Banya knew that we needed it. So they want to look after their staff. And I think Recibo, you can atone to this as well. You can add to this. Like, well, how does the support and advice that Banya give to its staff and its carers?
Yes, you, as you say rightly, Tom. Yes, that's what we have been doing. supporting even our staff, have making sure that they've got PPE, and over and above that, we had a policy on how to respond when a carer is known to have contracted COVID-19, or probably a child, and there was a policy guidelines in place on how to actually go about that. I mean, and for example, even if somebody didn't have a placement, we knew how to support them. Even financially, there was a facility available by Banya to ensure that we can support our carers, probably who may have lost income due to COVID-19, or one of the household members um, having contracted, or a carer not having placements. And we had all that kind of support in place. This was also extended even to the staff members to support that. So there's a lot of things that Banya has had to do and continues to do to support people during this difficult time. And we are not out of the woods yet. I mean, with the announcement last night, I know children are panicking, foster carers are panicking. Everybody doesn't know where we're heading. People asking questions about Christmas, and other things that we also have had to do is because with Banya, every half term and summertime, we have activities with children and families, and summertime we actually travel, hire a coach and travel somewhere for the whole day, and Banya pays for all the expenses for this, and we've had to improvise and to be innovative and creative in ensuring that we provide the same things in terms of support. And there was some finances made available to carers to either engage, invest in online games, things that really gets them going as a family and the children. So all those things have been put in place to ensure that we continue, because this is what is important. So it's not only about recruiting more carers, but it's also about retaining the ones we have, looking after, ensuring that the children, because all these things, at the end of the day, it's all to do with the outcomes of children. At the end of the day, how do we respond to situations? How do we put children, at the center of everything else that we do? Because it's about them, right? So everything around them, has to, to still stand, to support children at the end of the day, because all we want children to be well supported, and nothing about them should be compromised.
Absolutely, absolutely. Banya's always had like the center of everything they do is the child, and it's all about looking after them, making sure that they're safe, making sure that they're happy, making sure that they're cared for and looked after, and like anything and addressing all their concerns and worries, and especially in these certain situations, there's like many questions that they must be thinking. Like when they began, they were like, okay, what am I going to do with online Zoom, online classes? And Banya supported and provided that and provided advice. What are the carers going to do if where can I get advice? Banya supported and given advice, and briefed all its carers on what to do. And of course, there's always the support that's 24/7 for every single carer, if they have a question or anything. And Banya's always done that for their carers and for their children. So, and they've done an amazing job.
Yeah.
And, like back to the recruitment, there's the massive, like the spike in carers. Like we are still recruiting and we always need carers. We always do. So I want to thank you both for all the amazing work that you do for Banya and for the children that need the help. So thank you very much.
We appreciate you, Tom. I mean, for the work you're doing, asking us difficult questions, not necessarily difficult questions, but questions in a manner that enables us to actually proudly speak about the work we do. You know what I mean? And so, thank you.
Yeah,
And I think you said what is Banya, in my response to what Banya has done in response to COVID is that we engage experts like you to come along and join the team, right?
I mean, I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means, but I just want to gather the information and spread the awareness and spread the information that people want to know, and
Yeah,
find
it's
the
difficult
information
for
that people
anyone to
want to
call
know.
themselves an expert, but here we are. You are an expert.
Well, I still have a lot to learn. I always have a lot to learn.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for joining me, both of you. You've been amazing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.